Good day, everyone. Greetings and salutations. It is I, Sir Review, today with a video, a potential series of me making videos talking about my OCs and their lore and stuff. This is a brand new idea I've just, come up with on the spot, and I actually want to try it out because I want to, talk about my OCs and stuff because I, for the life of me, just cannot get it out in text, no matter how hard I try. My thumbs hurt after a while. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me get straight into it. Right, so the first person I'm going to cover on this is Ben. Ben Tauran, right? Some of you may have seen on my new Hyperspain account in the comic, the short little comic thingy, short little story strip that I made regarding Ben's life, right? Yeah. Ben is half Tauran, a made-up species I made that I will possibly make a ref for later, and he is also half human. Ben's parents, Julia, and Podsel, who are married, both had an eye for fashion, and when Podsel went to Earth, he and Julia fell in love after finding out their shared love for fashion, for women's fashion, right? They ended up dating for a while and getting married, and they decided collectively they wanted to go move on to girls' fashion, right? So they decided to make a child, and out comes Ben. However, unfortunately for Julia and Podsel, Ben is not the gender that they want their child to be. He is a boy, and they wanted a little girl. This annoyed them, but honest to God, Julia and Podsel didn't want to put in the effort of having another child. So they just decided, you know what? We're going to call you Ben. We're going to give you the legal name of Ben, but we're going to call you Bennett, and we're going to make you our little mannequin for our girls' fashion. Despite you being a boy, we're just going to have you dress up and act like a girl, And yeah, that's pretty much what they did. Starting from the ripe age of 2, or probably from when Ben was, straight out of the womb, Podsel and Julia got straight into making little girls as fashion. Making stylish clothes for young girls, for mothers who want their daughters to have a cutesy but, fashionable look. Get that to their kids. Now, Julia and Podsel aren't exactly the morally best people in the world. First of all, they are exploiting their child, for money, which is not something that you should do at all. But Julia and Podsel are also, fairly abusive. In the comic, I highlighted on the fact that Ben is scolded and punished if he does not obey his parents' every single order. And, doesn't obey the rules and stuff. Which, for the most part, is, pretty normal in child life. But Ben's punishments go pretty far, pretty hard. First of all, a fair few of the rules that Ben has set down is the fact that he is not allowed to address himself as a boy. He needs to address himself as a girl, and with the name that's given to him by his parents, Bennett, right? He can't even shorten his name down to Ben. Otherwise, his parents scold him. And Ben isn't actually allowed to have friends either. So yeah, Ben was pretty lonely because Ben's parents feared that if anyone found out that Ben was a boy, then their company, their fashion would be in jeopardy, So yeah, first of all, they refuse to accept their son for who he is, but they also give him strict rules. Another rule that they have is the fact that Ben is not allowed to touch things like pants or shorts. He is strictly stuck to dresses and skirts and highly feminine clothing. I highlighted this in the comment. The fact that Ben gets scolded when he barely even breathes around boy-themed clothes, right? Um, yeah, he... Yeah, things aren't great for Ben. There are a lot of rules in his life, and his life is honestly just miserable. Now, in that drawing, in that little comic thing, he was about, like, 5 years old at that time, right? Yeah, he was about 5-ish. Yeah. And as you can see, he was thrown into, like, a sort of closet or basement or whatever the hell you want to think of the room was, to sleep in until he pretty much learnt his lesson. So Ben was basically abused on a day-to-day basis, like, I guess you could say, like, emotionally or mentally, and was punished pretty harshly. And sometimes the punishment even resulted in physical approaches, such as getting, punched or something, or, like, spanked or something for being wrong. This was especially done to Ben, like, in his early years of, like, 0 to, like, 3. Anyways, after a while, Ben's parents just basically gave up on Ben. Like, they were just like, you know what, let's have another kid and hope to God that it's a girl and is actually useful. And, out of the quote-unquote kindness of our hearts, we're deciding to put you in the adoption center. And, well, that's exactly what Ben's parents do. They take Ben, who is roughly a 6-year-old at this time, and take him off to the nearby adoption center and drop him off there. I personally don't know much about adoption centers and the way they work, so this is just based off of my own personal interpretation of how adoption centers work. So I apologize if there's any, wrong things in regards to what I say about what I think I know about adoption centers. But yeah, pretty much Ben's parents just straight up drop Ben off. They force him in the car, and they just, like, go to the adoption center and basically say to the staff, we don't want this kid anymore. It's your problem now. Give him a purpose here, whether he decides to get a new family or something. We don't care. We don't want to care. Just take him and, like, have him be a burden to you now instead of us, because, like, he was annoying. And pretty much, after that, Ben was just dropped off there, and he was already in a pretty broken state as it is. Like, he's crying at everything, begging his parents not to leave him there. But yeah, his parents leave, and karma bites them in the ass, because as they're driving home, making plans for having a new baby and stuff, they get into a car crash. It's either their fault or someone who's not paying attention to the road crashes into them. But yeah, pretty much everyone dies in the process, except Ben, who's at the orphanage. Of course, this information was driven to Ben immediately. The fact that his parents had died in a car crash, and, everybody was expecting, like, an, oh no, my parents died reaction out of Ben, but he's just sitting there like, yes. Anyways, Ben's not exactly, liked at the orphanage because of how weird he looks. But that is until Lila comes into his life, and they form a friendship, and after a couple of years, they legally become siblings. Don't ask me how or why. I saw this in a show, and I just decided to take it. But basically, they decided collectively to become legal siblings. And Ben's, improved much more. He's got a happy, loving sister, and he's got good friends, and his life's just overall improved. He's healed from his traumas, and, that's a short little thingy of Ben. Let me know if you guys, like this video. I don't know how to end this. I don't have enough time to talk about these things. I've got like 20 seconds left. Why don't you smash that like and subscribe button? Oh my god. Bye.